Alright, today I'm going to go through an eBay order that I just got recently. It's one of those sellers, a volume seller, and you can get stuff at 40% off, so I always go with them. And it was only like a 10 or 12 card order or something like that. I just don't remember how many which is in there. I picked up some 2024 Topps Parallels, which I'll be going after some more in the future. I want to make sure I have all the cards here because I've kind of set some off to the side here. Very quickly, Record Store Day was this weekend. Long story short, fear of missing out, but I was able to go online and purchase a title that I was looking for, and it's already being shipped. And the great thing about it is that I didn't have to pay eBay prices, and some nice person gave me the link to a different record, and I was looking around to see what else they had because I wasn't paying 60 bucks for a record plus, or something close to 60 bucks plus, $10 for shipping. I didn't know what the shipping was. I had no clue, but I said this nice person gave me the link, and I'm going to buy something from this particular person that was linked to. And so I'm very happy I now have something on the way. Record Store Day will be going on for another week or two because some of the titles weren't available until after Record Store Day because they got shipped late, or some got held up in customs, which has happened to a number of people, and numerous other things where people are still ordering them or they're still winning them on eBay, sort of thing like that. So there was that one there. And so I'm going to show you these cards here before I forget what I'm doing here. It's in no particular order here. We have a bunch of 2024 Topps Parallels, but we'll get to this one here. This is some sort of Babe Ruth card there. He's in his street clothes with some tigers and some cardinals around him. I'm not exactly sure what the significance of that one is, but it was barely $1 and I had to get it. It might have been the last one available. Most of these cards are in black and white, but this is like a colorized photograph or something, so very cool with that one there. Again, it's one of those cards that you would think that would sell for about $5, and maybe if at a large card show and somebody's used to buying $50 cards all day long, they would pay the $5. Most people here are used to paying $1 for cards, and they would be 50 cents for that card, and I would be losing money. Then we have Clemson, Riggs Field. You're wondering, that's dumb because this was all over the place, a Walmart Target product. Why don't you just buy a blaster? Well, I would if I could, but I can't, so I won't. It's essentially how that is. If you have basically been deprived of cards as much as I have, I don't want to start buying everything on the planet. But the reason for that card there is because that would be a great autograph right in the center. If anybody has any great ideas for that particular one, then be my guest and put it down in the links there, or the comment section. Then we have this, I think it's a summer foil parallel. It looks like something crazy like 3,000 card, or there's 30 cards for well, let's put it this way. There's 30 cards for every card, or 30 parallels for every card approximately. But there's 700 cards. But for example, if you're just trying to do the green parallel, number to 499, there's at least 349,300 of just the green 499 parallel alone. Because there's 1 through 700. Don't forget that there's also the update series. So there's more than 350,000 cards there. That's insane. Just for one card alone. Think of that in terms of packs. 350,000 packs. Or boxes, and you may not get one in every box. That's nuts. So that would be billions of cards. So all these cards should be practically free. Henry Bolt or Bolty, and this is one of the pro debut. I couldn't see it on there. This is number to 175, 172 out of 175. That was not very much at all. It was less than $1. Jack Hurley was also less than $1 for the Hillsboro Hops, and that was number 20 out of 150. Very happy to grab that one, so that was dirt cheap. Quinn McDaniel, I think also the number to 150. Again, we don't know who they are, but again, stupid cheap here. Best time to get them instead of paying $5 online 4 years from now. Then we have the Andy Pages. I don't know what it is, but it's some sort of gray bordered card with like some sort of outstanding kind of holiday stuff on there. There might be one per pack, or who knows what they are, one per box or 12 per box, no idea, but it was not even $1, so I grabbed that one. Now we're going to get into some vintage cards here because I think that's what I have next. And then we have Pat Kelly. So Pat Kelly, I want to say that mine looks like it was stepped on by an elephant. So that card will be going away, and that is a nice replacement for that one. This was probably 65 cents for this card, so I'm happy to take it. Then we have the Expos Ron Hunt. And Ron Hunt, I don't care what kind of borders they are, because again, these are replacing a lot of really super ruined cards. I did not have that one. He went from the something to the Expos, I'm not exactly sure what. But you know, so ridiculous that he has his Expos hat on the back there, and he's got zip on the front there. So they did not take the logos out of the pictures on the back, from what I understand. And then this is card number 576 or 578. So it's more or less a high-ish number. Not the highest, but getting close there. Then we have Ken Suarez. And again, these were closer to $1, I think. I'm not exactly sure what the discount worked out on these. Ken Suarez in relatively good condition. He's card number 567, but I did not realize that somebody had written like SR or something on the back of it. So kids wrote their names on things and initialed that card there. Sadly, that one has initials, but again, it displays very, very well. So I just noticed that right now. Maybe the seller didn't even notice that. I can't say for certain. Then we have Joe LaHoud. So it's Joe LaHoud. Again, they're all off-centered, but again, if you're going to be, you know, worried about centered cards there, I mean, again, was one of the things that people were not necessarily noticing at the card shows, and you had to point that out. But anyway, this is card number 622. So I believe that's 622 for that one. Again, see, well, it's Boston there and Boston there. Then we have Billy Wynn, and Billy Wynn is on the Angels, so they blocked out the Billy Wynn logo on the front there. Billy Wynn is number 718 or something like that, and Charlie's Angels, the California Angels, has been blocked out on the front, but not on the back. So there is that one. Super good condition for a 71. We have Dick Billings. I believe he's still a good autograph signer, but I'm not sure I want to send this one out here. And this is another probably highish number. This is card number 729. So again, when you can get these close to $1 or under $1 in any kind of condition, we have a lower grade card of Frank Coggins and Dick Nold. So there's that one on the Senators there. Maybe they didn't have to pay anything for the Washington logo. I don't know. And there's the back of it there. Again, just a card I didn't have for the low series there. Stan Williams also for the low series. So this seller has a lot of Series 1 and Series 2. Lots of that stuff. So if you just want base series there, Stan Williams, that's a replacement. Lou Burdett, because it was a cheap Lou Burdett for next to nothing, so I took it. There's always going to be some of this color issues on the backs here because it was in a non-acid free box and probably got damaged. Bob Shaw with a slight crease in there. I'm trying to stay away from creased cards here, but and I probably just got it for the this in the background, or maybe mine was just completely obliterated. Then we have Rod Gilbreth, and that was I'm not sure if that was shown to me that was cut wrong, but I just said, you know, I'm buying from this particular seller, that's what I can get, and I will get it. Somewhere I have another Gilbreth card that needs to be mailed out, way behind on autograph requests, stupid behind. So that was a good deal there. Nothing, you know, it was under $10, probably $10 or $11 maybe for that total, which is just fine. It was $1.50 for shipping, and again, they ship them in these things here, so I get plenty of those for the larger cards there. That's always great there. So one other thing here, I'm going to show a couple pictures at the end of the video of the card show. I couldn't get a good vantage point, so you couldn't really see exactly how crowded the show was. You'll probably say, yeah, it's a moderately filled show. One of the rooms was you couldn't budge. You just had to stay where you were at until somebody was able to move farther this way. Some people just gave up and just said, you know what, it's too hot in here, I can't get in that room. So they left. and went into another room, and another room, and another room. There was always room in the room that I was in, but barely enough room. And then these are just some of the cards that were in the 5 for $1 box that was at my table. I said my friend's table, and these are my cards. These just didn't sell. In fact, when you bring a 5,000 count box and only like 30 cards out of that 5,000 count box for 5 for $1 sell, that's probably my guesstimate of what kind of cards have disappeared from that box. So it was almost 100% full packed. It didn't lose any weight. It was super heavy. And again, none of it, other than maybe like 1 or 2 cards in there, everything was modern era cards or vintage. Very little junk wax. And if it was junk wax era cards, then it would be like this Fernando Tatis card. You know, a nice foil card there. And then again, I don't know if Juan Soto is good anymore, but people were not looking to pay a quarter for that one. In fact, they weren't looking at all. If I had any Braves collectors, they would probably jumped on that Ozzie Albies. They would have probably nobody. In fact, there was a dad that didn't know. He said, "Well, my kids don't know who Hank Aaron is, so we don't want to get him that card." That's how it was. If we don't know who it is, or my kids don't know who it is, we don't want it. And that was a general consensus of the show. And if they didn't, you know, but what was really ridiculous is that they were not willing to learn about people like Hank Aaron. That was actually in the quarter box. It was from this set or whatever. Ridiculous. So that's probably like a $2 card online. But they were willing to jump into Pokemon. And the first thing they said, we don't know the first thing about Pokemon, but we want to jump into it. The second thing that they admitted about Pokemon is they've never played the game. I was practically the only person in the room. I had probably the most ridiculous shirt on, but I was the only person in the room that actually learned how to play Pokemon way back in the day. I don't remember it or how to play a single bit of it, but yeah, I learned. It was back when the kids actually learned themselves how to play Pokemon, and they taught me. That was interesting. So, because I was forced to learn Pokemon. If you're going to hang out at this card shop, you're going to learn Pokemon. So I did. That's what happened. That's what happened. So times have changed. You know, this kind of stuff, you know, the Bowman base here and stuff like that. I mean, I could just take any random card and rip it in half, and that would probably make not anybody. You see, there's another. Then there's the other Fernando Tatis in there. So card shows are basically a waste of time for shopping and, you know, and selling. I would basically avoid them like the plague. I much rather would have waited in line at one of the local record stores. One of the record stores wasn't listed as a record store day store, so why am I going to go look them up again or even consider that store? Never. So, but it turns out they were a record store day approved store and had titles. So there was actually 2 stores, one on one side of town and one on the way of the other side of town. And then another tiny one there. They're all hole-in-the-wall stores, mind you. I would have liked to gone to store A, and then it would have been fun to travel to store B to see if I could find anything. And all I wanted, my goal for the weekend was to get 3 record store day releases, but come back with fewer than one. No fewer than 1. And then I totally failed in that department. And then at the very end of the day, because I had to skip Saturday, which was the event. Sunday is the legit day of throwing the leftovers online for those people that didn't pick up the releases that they wanted, or they didn't get them at the store, or they just couldn't physically go. But Saturday was also the day for the flippers. And people would run to the stores or pretend they had them. Then they would list them for sale. They would sell them, and then they would go buy them or do whatever. That's a common trick, that people basically list these for sale at some sort of ridiculous price. Then they will go buy one or find one. And then they will apologize if they couldn't get it, I guess. Or we thought we had 2 and we only had 1 sort of thing. All kinds of shenanigans ensued because the previous record store days, people would hold them back and keep them for their favorite customers or for themselves, or sell them online for double. And record stores are not supposed to do that. That's against the rules and get your butt booted, or whatever you want to call it. and then so the whole day Sunday was that card show. And then when I got home, everything that I was sort of interested was sold out or doubled up online. And I said, there's no hope. I'm not going to get anything. So I was looking at Discogs, and somebody had left a message on my YouTube saying, oh, by the way, here's a link to one of the ones that you were interested in. And I looked at it, I was like, it's going to be over $60 for me to get this. So over 60 might as well be 70 for one release. And it was not a 2 LP, it was just one. I said, this is ridiculous. But then I found one in the Sanity level of $34. And my friends would say, you spent $34 on a record? How dare you? I get them all day long at Goodwill for 99 cents. And I said, well, I don't know what Goodwill you're shopping at. Mine's $5, so sort of thing there. And then they say, well, I pulled this Beach Boys one that's, an uber rare one. And they said, yeah, but I had to dig through 12 million records to find one good one. That's what they don't tell you. And it's like, well, gas is, so I saved a ton of gas. Now, the other thing I did is had to pay $9 in shipping. So it came out to $40-odd. But spoiler alert, and not spoiler alert, is that this record was only limited to 1,200 copies. I think it was nationwide/worldwide. Plus, it was autographed, so I will show that in probably next week. It's already on its way here. So very, very happy to have that coming this way. I'm very, very happy to get something, so the fear of missing out is over. Never again will I probably ever set up at a card show, but I would like to hang out with my friends, so that was, a fun thing to do. And saw some other people, and other people were doing well, some people were not doing well. It was just a total hit and miss thing here. But because we were stuck in this little far corner off there in the one room I did not want to be in, that middle room is where you need to be at. The hallway was okay to a point, but that middle room and the back room is not where you want to be at. You don't want to be in a corner, you want to be on a straightaway where people can see you. And you want to have Pokemon with you, and if it was bad. It's not the kind of thing that I ever want to do again. So that is all for today, and hope everybody had a great weekend. Again, no TTM cards were found at this show. Nothing I could even really warrant to show you. Just base commons for a set, and I spent $15 doing that, and bought some one-piece cards for $0.25 and stuff like that, just to be polite and make some conversation. So that is all for today, and thank you for watching.